Hi guys, welcome to my channel. As you know, my name is The Relentless Beauty, and today we are going to get into one of my biggest wig investments, and that wig is a medical wig. So I spent a lot of money on this wig, y'all. Just for one piece, yes, I spent like $500 on this wig. So we are going to color, cut, bleach the knots, get it prepared for some things that I have coming up. And I'm going to tell y'all a story time about how I ended up in Arizona, how I ended up back here, and all of that. Because I told y'all last video that we would get into it. And if you missed my last video, go to my channel, subscribe, like, comment, all my other videos, and especially catch that last one because we got into the tea. So yeah, let's dive in. So, as I said before, yes, we are going to dive into cutting, styling, doing all the works up on this medical wig because let me just show it to y'all. Let me just show it to y'all because I'm so proud of it, but we got to get it together, boo. We got to get it together real quick. So, hold on. So, this is the unit, y'all. Yes, this unit is only 16 inches, y'all. 16 inches, $500. And you're probably wondering, why in the world would you pay $500 for a 16-inch wig? Because, boo, it's an investment. That's why. You got to start somewhere. So this is me starting. This is my somewhere that I'm starting. This unit is very unique. This unit is very expensive, and granted, it should be. These medical wigs are specially designed for people who have medically induced hair loss. So they are not your typical unit. So they should be expensive. And you can build insurance for them. So why wouldn't they be expensive? So I'm just going to get into the deets of this wig. It doesn't look like much now, but we are going to get her together because I'm not feeling all this reddish brown color. We're going to make it look really cute. So I know this wig is looking crazy, and I know it's not looking like it's worth $500, but it will by the time I get done with it, boo. This medical wig specifically has a silk base and silicone base. I got both because it's the most popular toppers. So this is the silicone and this is the silk here. What the silicone does is it keeps the hair or the unit in place for those who don't have hair at the top, or they may have female or male pattern baldness, cancer, alopecia, any type of medically induced hair loss. It helps keep the hair on the scalp. The unit does not move when you have the silicone base touching the scalp. Now, the silk here, the silk is designed specifically to get oxygen, more oxygen than a typical closure unit or frontal unit would. It gets more oxygen to the scalp. The scalp needs oxygen to reproduce, regrow hair, and just to be healthy in general, it needs oxygen. A typical unit would not give you that. A typical unit is a typical unit. And it's only so much ventilation you're going to get with a typical unit like what I have on here. This is a glueless unit. And so, but this is a normal unit. Medical units, they are specifically designed to help promote growth, sustainable for those who don't have the advantage of having as much hair as other people do. So as you see here, silicone bases on the side, and there is some in the back. Again, those are for people who have hair loss issues. And so with this unit, I just wanted to get it together because I have some business endeavors that I am going down. And so we just got to get her together and make her look presentable, make her look worthy of purchasing, you know? So let's go do it. All right, y'all. So let's get into the tea of how I ended up in Arizona, back in Alabama, and how my son got sick. So at the time, I had just got I wasn't even gonna say getting over it. I wasn't over it. But I had just gone through the fire with the betrayal from my family and like my biggest heartbreak ever in my life. So yeah, so I had pretty much moved into these apartments called Limestone Creek after going through all types of hell before that. And I had got me like my second car that I had. Well, I didn't buy the car. My little whoopty whoop, he had bought me like 2 cars in like 3 months. Like, it was so much stuff going on with the cars, which is why I said what I said in my last video. It's like always something with me and my siblings' cars, which makes me think like somebody paying somebody to do some work on us when it comes to that, so we can go back crawling back to them. And I'm just not the one to do it, but that's neither here nor there. So I ended up moving into this place. I was there for about 3 months. My little wooty woo bought me a point A to point B car after he spent $4,000 on the Chrysler. He just bought me a point A to point B car. And one of my coworkers put me on to this guy that was just trying to get rid of the car. So I'm like, well, okay, cool. So shout out to him. DJ had put me on to somebody he knew, and the guy was just trying to get the car out of his shop. Like, pretty much the car was fixed. He was just trying to get it out of his shop. So I had got this car. I had got me a job as a purchaser in their office at Green Metals. And like, it was going good. Like, it pays to know people because my client put me on. Well, she didn't put me on. I put myself onto the job, but like knowing her helped me get in the door quicker, pretty much, because once she seen me when I was coming in for my interview, she was like she told them like, oh, y'all better hire her or whatever. That's my girl or whatever. So yeah, so I ended up working this job, and it seemed like as soon as I started like getting in good with the job, then my car started having problems. So then I was having to, and when I say problems, like it would not crank on. So I had somebody come out. They were like, they don't think it's a starter or the alternator. He was like, I think it may be something with the security or something like that, which I didn't know what that meant at the time. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I did not. I flipped cars, but I was not a mechanic, boo. I never knew. I'm not a car girly like that, where I know the infrastructure and the terminology and the mechanics of it all. I just know how to make money off of them. So, um, yeah, so I was lifting back and forth from my job to taking my son to camp during the summer when school was let out, and then back to my job, then back to camp to pick him up, then home. Y'all, it was costing me so much money. I was spending like $60 a day lifting and Ubering, and it just started to deplete me. Like, I felt like it was no point in me having the job if I can't even pay my bills in full with it. Like, it was just Lyft was just taking so much. Lyft and Uber took so much money from me. So I ended up quitting my job because I couldn't figure out what was going on with my car, and I didn't have the money for another one. And neither did he. Like, he had spent a lot of money, so uh he spent like probably like $5,000 on between them two cars, y'all. So I wasn't gonna ask him for nothing else. And he paid for the mechanic to come out and look at that one. And spent like $1,500 fixing the one before that, before the transmission blew. So it was just like he spent a lot of money on giving me transportation. It just seemed like nothing seemed to work at the time. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just sell this car because I was almost 2 months behind on my rent. Like, I was like 5 months in to my 9-month lease, and I'm like, I'm halfway through, and I'm already almost 2 months behind. I was going on 2 months behind. I wasn't quite there yet. So the next month was coming up. So I was like, I'm just going to sell this car to somebody on Facebook. If I don't know how to do nothing else, I know how to flip something to make some money off of it and double my profit or triple my profit. So I took the money that I made from selling the Pontiac. I sold the Pontiac. I think we bought it for like 600. I sold the Pontiac for 15, and then I paid my rent and paid my light bill with it. So, um, another month was coming, right, y'all? So I'm like, damn. So another month had rolled around, and I'm just like, God, I don't know. Now I don't have a car anymore. So it's like, God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I didn't have any furniture at the time in my living room. Like, Caden had a bed, and like he had his room stuff, and I had my room stuff. We didn't have any living room furniture. We had, pots and pans and stuff like that for the kitchen, but it was given very bare minimum at the time because I was just like literally I had started completely over from scratch, from ground zero. And so I was just like, God, I can't even keep, like, I don't know what's going on with my life right now. Why every time I try to get a car, it's going wrong or something goes wrong with the car. But like, I at least need a roof over me and my son's head. And I was just praying, like, on my hands and knees, y'all. That was the first time I ever got to a point in my life where I was on my hands and knees begging God because I was just so tired of going through stuff. Like, my heart couldn't take it no more. And so I was like, I was just talking to God, and I was just like, Lord, just please help me some way, somehow. And I remember I woke up one morning, and I woke up earlier than usual. And this particular morning, I was just sitting in the bed, just like thinking of like, how can I get back right? Because I couldn't even go to the barbershop to cut hair. Like, I had no forms of transportation. All my money had ran dry. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I'm sitting up thinking about that. And do y'all not know a old refund check from where my son's dad had claimed him and had messed up my refund, and I didn't get a refund that year? That refund hit that morning while I was sitting up staring at the ceiling. That refund, I got a notification from Cash App, and that refund hit. And so the moment that refund hit, I went, I called, uh, I called my leasing office to see how much I owe because I knew I was going on 2 months. I was like 2 days from being two months in the hole with them. And I think they had already filed an eviction. They had just not went through with it yet or whatnot. Y'all, do you know I called them people and they wanted $3,500? That wasn't even for the past month and the month coming up. They wanted an extra $1,000. And I was like, boo, do I choose this or do I choose give me a car and get my son back right? Because, and when I say get my son back right, my son was like crying a lot, and I felt just, I don't even know, like, that's when I'm telling y'all, I had to really just talk to God and ask him for help. That's the only way it was gonna be better, because my son was crying and complaining about his neck hurting because his dad had been a little too aggressive with him, trying to discipline him when he was at my house one day. Now, granted, my son at the time, he was like 4 or 5, and his dad was trying to tell him something. He hit his dad, like on a leg or something. And granted, yeah, discipline him, yeah, put him in timeout, make him stand in the corner, make him do some squats or something, yeah. Even like, okay, pop him on the butt or whatever, but he like jerked him really hard, and he like slung his neck. And I knew when he did it, it was like how hard he jerked him. I was like, So I tried to intervene and tell him, like, stop, don't do that. Like, you don't have to be so aggressive with him. And lo and behold, when we move into this apartment, my son's complaining and crying about his neck, right? So I made a conscious decision, go get me a car. I went and put $2,500 down on a car. And I went and paid for chiropractics for myself and my son. Now, originally, that was not my plan to get any for myself, but I wanted to get both of us examined because I was having a lot of trouble with one of my shoulders, and I was having like trouble walking whenever like I would stand on my feet doing hair, cutting hair for a long time. And so I went to go get both of us chiropractic assessments, and lo and behold, although that wasn't my original plan to get me any either, my back and my spine was tore the hell up, and it was from a wreck that I had in my early 20s. Like, and so, yeah, so I wanted to get myself together. I don't want to have to be dealing with no hip replacement at 50 years old, you know. So I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna get both of us. So I paid for chiropractors for a month for me and my son. And then I started back like paying on my braces, just certain little things that needed to be done for like myself, like all of those things, getting us everything back right with where we were lacking with self care and like our health and me going to the orthodontist, just certain things. And so um, meanwhile, I ended up like investing in back into streaming. I had stopped streaming because I was going through so much stuff, and streaming was like good money for me. But I just went through so much stuff, and like I have to tell y'all a story. Like, people hated me streaming. Like even my family hated me streaming. Like any means of me making money and like trying to come up, they just hated me doing. And so I had invested some of my tax money and got me a little backdrop, and I started streaming. So I ended up streaming and like being able to stay afloat from streaming. And then I ended up meeting this guy. He became my number one gifter. Now, granted, I had never met anyone from stream and like been interested in anyone from streaming because I started streaming and my whole thing with streaming over the years has been strictly money. Like I've never been invested or interested in dating someone online or dating someone from my gifting gallery or anything like that. It was just all I was just all about my money and for and entertainment. And so this guy, like we had been like communicating on Instagram for a while, for some months, and then like he was just like, yeah, like I love to meet you. I love to have some conversation on the phone with you so we can plan a date. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's what we ended up doing. And I cannot lie, I had a great first date. He gave me an experience that I've never experienced with a man before. Like, you know, like I pull up and like we meet each other and he's got like gifts in the car for me. I had never experienced that before, y'all. So that was a first for me. Like, he was very charming. He was 10 years older than me, very charming, and things were good until they weren't with him, but I can say he had me experience some things I'd never experienced with a man before. And so for a while, I didn't like tell him what I had going on in life, like my struggles. I just let him support me how he supported me because I was kind of ashamed and embarrassed. Like, I'm not one of them people that like is when I'm going through stuff, I like jump and tell a man like, oh, I need help with this or I got this going on. I kind of wanted him to experience me genuinely, like in our conversation genuinely, and not him like hearing me about like, you know, complain and cry about my troubles and stuff like that. But I was struggling, and the reason that I was struggling is because my when I got back on my feet, my baby daddy just up and said, "Oh, I'm not helping you anymore with child support," and and that was just like another hit. So it's like, damn, I'm back on my feet now, and you hit me with something else, right? So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna move out this apartment and I'm gonna get me something that's not as expensive. And that wasn't really expensive to me. $1,200 for a 2 bedroom, 2 bath is not expensive to me. But it was just like for what I had going on, it's like back to back stuff keep happening. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna move up out of here. But before I did that, I had pretty much just told the dude that I was dealing with like what I had going on. So he was just like, okay, well come move out here. I'll get your car, I'll get your car toted over here and I have them bring your car out here to Arizona and I'll help you. Like you don't have to worry about bills and stuff until you get back right. And he was like, I'll fly you and Kaden out here and y'all can come stay with me. And so that's what we did. Like I ended up getting an eviction filed on me or whatever. And at the time, I was just at peace with it. It was just like, okay, it is what it is. I'm gonna take the help that's being offered to me. So we go moving with this man, and honestly, y'all, the first 2 weeks were cool, but after that, he was bad shit crazy, like acting a fool, drinking, acting just out of pocket. Like if he get mad at me, he kind of like take it out on my son, and I don't mean physically, but I mean like verbally. It'll be like just picking with him, like, oh, get your feet off my couch and this and that. And then I had to cuss him the fuck out because who the fuck are you talking to? Your feet be on the couch, my feet be on the couch. Don't treat my son like that. So yeah, I was on that with him. And one night we ended up, he asked me like, I don't know, y'all. We would have great times. When the good times were good, they were great. And then when the bad times were bad, they were horrible, like a horror movie. And so he was just so up and down. And I'm just like, this man has real mental illness issues. So yeah, like honestly, he was one of those guys that like going out with him was like going out with a liability. You never know what you're gonna get from being out with him. Like you might have a good time, or you might have a fucking horrible time, and he's like being rude to the waitress and like baby girl is fool, tired, like and honestly, I'm ready. A man look at you or stare at you too long, he might cuss him the fuck out. Like he used to be just acting crazy over me, and it was just so embarrassing. But this is the night I ended up leaving his house with my new blow dryer, and then we're gonna. He had asked me to go to a dinner party, to his brother's dinner party with him, and he was like, my cousin's taking her kids to the fair, so. She was like, how you feel about letting him go to the fair? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. That's cool. I had met the cousin. So I was like, she seemed like she like level-headed or whatever. So I had let Kaden go to the fair with them or whatever. And so we went to the dinner party and things were fine up until he had like his third apple ale. And yes, I said apple ale because he had got turned off the apple ale, y'all, and was just like being rude to his brother's wife's guests. Like they were homosexual and they came in and he was like, oh, not you invited them type of people here, and just rude. It was just rude. It was embarrassing. It was distasteful. And so once we left the dinner party, I pretty much told him like how I felt, and not like going off on him. It was just like, that wasn't cool to do that to those people. They didn't do anything to you. And so he's like, oh, you're not going to tell me how the fuck to be at my brother's house. And I was like, I'm not telling you how to be. I'm just telling you that wasn't right. And do y'all not know this man popped me in my forehead? Not like a punch, like a slap, like slap me in my forehead. And do y'all not know I punched this fucking 6'5", 225-pound man in his temple and almost made him run off the road, y'all. Because, bitch, who? Bitch, what? Are you fucking crazy? So, yeah. Anyways, he pulls over. He tries to get out. I'm locking the door on him while he's trying to come around the car. Well, actually, before he gets out, I start whooping his ass. And he's like, oh, no. So he tries to hurry up and get out the car. And then he tries to come around. And I end up locking him out his car. So we is acting a plum fool. Because, bitch, ain't no way you just hit me in my forehead. Ain't no way. It was like, pop. Pop, pop, pop. And then he pulled over, y'all. Like, he hit me in the forehead. I punched him in his temple. He hit me again. He punched me in my forehead. I punched him in his temple harder. And we was out. He had pulled over in a little, like, alleyway. And we was fighting, y'all. I was kicking him in his face and everything, y'all, up in that car. Whooping his ass. And so he was like, oh, wait till we get home. Woo, woo. So we go to go pick my son up. And he acting like he don't want to unlock the door for my son. So I was like, bitch, if you don't unlock this door, I'm going to whoop your ass for real. And so he unlocks the door for my son. And then he tries to lock it back when my son, like, tries to open it. So I unlocked the door. So then I was like, Kaden, get in the car or whatever. And then he was like, oh, y'all can leave when we get back. Ooh. And I was like, fine, cool. And I think that pissed him off that I said, fine, we'll leave. And he, like, popped me in my fucking eye or something. And Kaden starts screaming because, mind you, he didn't even really know this is going on. He's like innocent in all this, so he sees this. And I was like, Kaden, let's just get out the car. We'll find our own way back to his house or whatever. So then he pulls up and he was like, I'll take y'all back home, this and that. I was like, nope, not if you're gonna be putting your hands on me in front of my son. Like, absolutely not, right? So we get back to the house. I'm trying to get my stuff and leave. He's trying to grab the stuff out of my hand and keep us from leaving. And I'm like,
no, bitch, stop touching me. So I tried to like hit him, and this man then choked me out to where I had passed out, y'all. Like, this bitch almost killed me. And Caden's in the living room not knowing what's going on. He just sitting up watching TV. Like, he don't even know this is going on in our room. So I ended up passing out. I hit my eye on the floor because he had concrete floors, like tile floors. And I hit my eye on this towel when I passed out. So when I came back to, like, my eyebrow was like burning. And I was like, what the fuck did you do? So like I touched my face is bleeding, y'all. My face is bleeding. And so I was like, yeah, bitch, you're about to go to jail. Like, what the hell? And I was like, look at me compared to you. And then he was like, no, you shouldn't have been trying to fight me. Y'all got to get up out of here. Y'all gonna get me in trouble. I'm not gonna go back to jail. Ooh. And when he said go back to jail, y'all, I ended up finding out in the month that we was living there that he was on probation for assault on an officer. The day that his son was born at the hospital, he assaulted an officer at the hospital. So y'all, it was just so much, y'all. Oh my goodness. But anyway, so he ends up like pushing me and Kaden out the house, throwing all our stuff out or whatever. So I packed my car and I called the police. Like, I asked them to meet me up the road because I didn't want him to do this. So they gave me some resources. They gave me this lady to call, and the lady ended up putting us in a domestic violence shelter. And y'all, this was a really nice facility. Like, I have never seen nothing like it. And I guess it took me going to a bigger city to experience something like this, because I always thought, being from Alabama, I always thought being in a shelter meant like it's a big room with a whole bunch of people in it and they're all dirty. And like, y'all, I went to this domestic violence shelter and it was only women and children allowed, but it was such a nice facility. It was set up like you had your own apartment, you had your key to your own place. They give you 45 days to figure your stuff out, and then you go from there. But you can stay up to 4 months until you figure your stuff out. They help you get a job. They feed you meals, morning, lunch, and dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it was really nice. Like, it was really nice. And you can eat there, like, breakfast if you want, at the cafeteria. Cafeteria is very clean, very nice. Or you could get your own food, but you have to be there between a certain time. And they had a basketball court. They had, like, a playground, but it was set up like apartments. They had, like, a little animal shelter for those who had pets. Like, it was really nice, y'all. I never experienced nothing like it. So we were there, and I think, like, I mentally, like, I was not thinking things through. Like, I went and got me a job at a surgery center, and my son had got sick. It just seemed like every time something's going good, shit starts to go bad. And y'all, I'm doing this technique because you're going to understand why. When you go against the grain of the hair, it gives it more volume. But anyway, so my son had got sick, and I had only been at this job for like 2 weeks at this surgery center. And they end up letting me go, y'all. And I just was like, I really think like I was spiraling at the moment, because it's just like all things was leading to just nothing working out for me. And then, like, while we were at this women and children's shelter, like, my son's dad's mom had called me and told me why he stopped helping. I never knew why he just stopped helping, but she was like, oh, he's getting garnished and he's been getting help from me and his sister, and we was thinking about helping y'all instead of helping him, because you don't have no help. And you know, she was just trying to like kind of like figure out what she can do to try to help, because she knew I had been telling them that I was struggling without his help. And so so I just was like, I think once they had cut me because I had stayed home a day to take care of my son, because he had got sick from starting school and stuff like that. Like, and honestly, it wasn't easy being at that shelter. Like, you deal with people like it's other women watching how you carry yourself and what you got going on. They may not have a car, but you do. And then I had a nice car. And so I would get a lot of times where like people stealing my stuff out of laundry and like just different stuff. The girl that stayed beside me that was we like so the way that the apartment was set up, we did Jack and Jill bathrooms or whatever. So the girl beside me, she was like, it was so much going on. She was like accusing me of stealing her kids' clothes and like, boo, our sons don't even wear the same size. And why would I want to steal from a bitch whose son is not potty trained at 5 years old and he still shits on himself? Like, boo, be fucking for real. So it was just so much, and I think like I would just hit a mental break. And so I ended up hitting up this guy that I knew from out there, and I was like, hey, like, let's sit down and eat. Like, I'm just having a rough week. Like, and so we sat down and ate, and it felt like just like a breath of fresh air to be around somebody that ain't acting fucking crazy when you sit down and go out to eat with them. And then we ended up going to his house and let my son, because he asked, like, do your son got a game out there? And I was like, no, we don't even have like a TV. And so he was just like, let him come to the house and enjoy it. So that's what we did. We sat in the living room. He played Fortnite, or he played some type of game, Roblox or something like that. And he's like, my son played Roblox, and we was out there for like an hour, and then so we ended up leaving around 1 a.m. Now, mind you, this was all on me. I was supposed to be back at that facility at 11 p.m. Because they had a curfew. And y'all, I don't know, like, honestly, I just didn't give a fuck at the time. Like, I just wanted to be able to just breathe for a second and like not have anything bothering me, worrying me. And that was one of the moments, and I don't regret it. The only thing that I do regret is stopping at this, what I thought was a hotel. I went on this back road thinking like, oh, that's a hotel. Whole time it's a casino. We're walking in. The guy is like, oh no, you can't be here. Y'all can't be here. And I was like, we can't be at a hotel. I was like, I just got to take my son to go pee. He got to go pee. And he's like, oh no, this is a casino. And honestly, that's what I mean by my ego and my pride. Like, I'm over here like, oh, we just going to go pee. We'll be right back. And we went in there, came out, whatever. And the guy was like talking shit to me. And I was talking about him like a dog, y'all. I was telling him he looked like that big ass man that was fighting Spider-Man off Spider-Man Universe or Uverse, whatever it's called. And he had told them, because the concierge and the valet was laughing when I said that shit. And he was like, oh, bitch, did you want to be funny? That's why I got the police on the way. Do y'all know the police pulled up and thought I stole my car? And I was like, what? They were being so racist and prejudiced towards me, y'all. And they were like, let me see your registration. So I was trying to give it to them. They were like trying to jerk it out of my hand. And I was like, bitch, you're not going to jerk nothing out of my hand. And y'all, that was a moment where that big fat ass man with the little ass head humbled me, because sometimes it's okay to just shut the fuck up and walk away when somebody's trying to start some shit with you. And that's what I should have did. I should have just walked to my car and walked the fuck away, because the casino police would have never came. So I was talking shit. Police come. They try to jerk my registration out of my hand. I'm like, why the fuck are y'all jerking shit out of my hand? They slam me on the ground, bust my lip, y'all. And I end up going to jail. And do you know these motherfuckers charged me not with resisting arrest or anything, or obstruction or some shit that I wasn't doing that, but it's like it would make more sense. They charged me with child neglect because I walked my son into that place and took him to the bathroom. We didn't go on the game floor. We didn't do anything. We went to the bathroom, came out, and I started talking shit to the guy because he was talking shit to me, and that's where it ended me. And so, y'all, they ended up dropping the charges 2 days later, but I pretty much was left with a choice from CPS, like, he go with a foster family in 3 days, or you call somebody to come get him. So I didn't know which option was going to be best, to be honest, y'all. I didn't think my baby daddy was the best option, nor did I. And I knew him being in a space out there with people I didn't know, but I would have rather him be with people that I know at least kind of love him and care for him than some people that don't. So my baby dad came. I called my baby dad's dad. before I got out, and they came and got him. And that, honestly, like, at the time, I felt like that was my best option. And so they came and got him. My son stayed with his dad, and my plan was to let him stay with his dad until, like, the end of the school year, the end of his second grade year. But y'all, when I finally made it back to Alabama, now the dude that I had left, he helped me get back. He gave me like $1,500. He helped me get back, drove me halfway there to make sure I was safe. And I came back to Alabama, and then my grandma, she had let me move in with her. And so I came back to Alabama, and every time I would see my son or get my son, he was always sick as fuck. Like, motherfuckers is not taking him to the doctor. They let him sit around. I went to go see him for Christmas. They let him sit around with a fever. And I'm like, how long he had a fever? Oh, just like 4 days. Bitch, what do you mean just 4 days? Why the fuck he ain't been to the doctor? So yeah, y'all. So I ended up having a dream. I had made plans and bought tickets to take my son to Lego Discovery Center in Atlanta. And I had this prophetic dream that my son was not living how I thought he was living, and like he actually was not well. Like, God was showing me, like, they had all types of men, because at the time my baby daddy was staying in a trailer with his sister in the trailer park. And like, God was showing me all types of stuff. Like, they had all types of people in and out their house. Like, they smoking around him. Caden's coughing. Caden's like not well. That's what he was pretty much showing me. And y'all, when I went and picked my son up, he smelled like mold, mildew, and was just complaining about his throat hurting. And I'm just like, what's going on? And you know how little kids, like, they just be rambling and talking. And he was just saying, like, I don't like when my dad and my auntie be smoking in the house. It makes me cough. And he like 6 at the time. So he just like talking, like catching up with his mom. And I was just like, y'all, I was bawling, crying. We got to that hotel. I was bawling, crying, because it just seemed like my son wasn't well. And he just kept complaining about his throat hurting, and he couldn't really enjoy his time with me. So I was like, I tried to get him some tea. Tea was not doing it for him. He didn't even want to swallow nothing. So I was like, fuck that. I'm not taking him back there until I figure out what's going on with him, because they're not going to take him to the doctor. So I ended up bringing him back to Alabama after we did go to the Lego Discovery Center, and he had a good time for what it was worth, but he wasn't feeling well. And I brought him back, took him to urgent care, and they diagnosed him with strep. So we got through the strep medicine. All right, fine, cool. And then, y'all, he gets to the strep medicine. He keeps clearing his throat. Like, the whole time he's like clearing his throat. And my grandma's like, why does he keep doing that? Like, what's going on with him? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's like a tick or something. And I was like, ask my son, like, is your throat okay? Like, do you still feel like you sick? And he's like, my throat's just bothering me. So I took him to the pediatrician. The pediatrician's like, oh, well, we don't see, he didn't test positive for strep, but he does have some drainage, right? And so I was like, okay, so how do we fix that? So she wanted him to start taking some nasal steroids. And so that's what she gave him. And then so by this time we had started baseball season. And so or I had just signed him up for baseball in baseball season. But y'all, bringing my son back, like, it was so much hell. Like, my baby dad, my mom, they were just causing so much hell because I brought him back. But I could not, any loving mother would not take their child back to a place. Any mother that cares about their child and taking their child back to a place is not making sure that their well-being is taken care of and taking them to the doctor and shit. And so I didn't, and I don't regret it. That's why my baby daddy claims that's why he's not paying child support anymore, because I never brought him back from that trip. Motherfucker, y'all weren't even taking him to the doctor. Like, I ended up, oh my goodness, I took him back and forth from the doctor so much because in the middle of baseball, he was just having so many issues. And so his pediatrician ended up putting him on amoxicillin for 2 weeks. And then, y'all, he got fucking thrush that would not go away. It was thrush from hell. Y'all, every time he stopped the antifungals, the thrush would come back. Literally. So it was just a bunch of that, like back and forth. I probably took him like 3 times to go get more thrush medicine, and after the second time, uh, our third visit, I was just kind of like, look, we need to go see a specialist because I don't know why this is happening, but I don't want to mess with his liver. I don't want to mess up any of his organs, and I did my own research that continuously putting a child on that could mess with their organs. So she was like, okay, I'll refer him to somebody. And I was like, nope, I already did my research. I know where I want him to go. I want him to go be referred to Valley ENT. And so, y'all, during that time, towards the end of that summer of 2024, that was such a rough freaking time because the thrush was running rampant and it was so hard on me and Kaden both because he wasn't really sleeping. He would wake up in the middle of the night, his mouth is irritated, he's screaming, he's hollering, he's crying. I'm not really getting any sleep, and it was just a rough time. I ended up doing my research because I was just so tired mentally and physically. I ended up doing some research. I found this Candida cleanse oil off of this website called Earthly, and we started using that. And about maybe 5 days later, the thrush went away, and we used it until it was gone, and the thrush went away. But he was still having throat issues, so after about 3 weeks, we finally get our referral call to make an appointment with Valley ENT. And we go and find out we have to have surgery after doing a CAT scan on his face. They said that he had a sinus infection trapped in his face and we only had two options, surgery or antibiotics. And so the doctor did not suggest the antibiotics again because of what we just went through with thrush. And I had went through hell with thrush. My son never had thrush as a baby, so that was new for me, and I don't ever want to experience it again. So we ended up having surgery or choosing surgery. And the day that we got our surgery date, I tried to like call my baby dad and let him know like the details, and he's like asking me how did this happen, and I'm like, he's like, oh, when did this start? And I said, well, it started when I got him back from y'all. You and my mom caused so much hell, but like I was trying to help Kaden. And um he's like, oh, don't try to blame this on me. Like, I'll have my sisters whoop your ass. And so I said, you know what? I don't even want you at the surgery. You ain't got to be there because it's like if I'm calling to tell you about your son's well being in a surgery, that's all you should be concerned about. You're talking about getting somebody to whoop my ass. You're talking about fighting, and we're talking about Caden's health. So, boo, just don't worry about it. Like, he just ain't good for nothing. So, mommy dealt with it by herself.
You a suspect, somewhere I don't ever wanna fuck with. Fuck that money